Morning, all. I want to start off by saying this is the Pittsburgh Stadium jersey that I didn't have in the history video of the Pittsburgh jerseys, so whoops. I've had this jersey for a long time. Yeah. Anyways, that was a whoops on my part. This is from the 2014. That's 2014 Stadium jersey against Chicago. The Chicago one I don't have. Anyhow, news of the day. The coaching search is apparently on hold for New Jersey. There's no rush. It's not like they're going to be playing games that are games over the next, 6 months? No reason to rush. Unless you feel like the coach should have some say at the draft table, which again, don't really have to have a rush for that either. So, that's not a reason to necessarily go out and bring in a coach. So, Ellen Nasruddin is going to be the interim coach for a while now, I guess, still. Now, Buffalo fans yesterday, not happy to hear this, that Pilot has signed a 2-year deal in the KHL. But he does have an NHL out clause, which means he may very well, and we're reading into this, I'm going to say right now, with an asterisk, we're reading into this. He may very well be saying that he's done waiting for his turn in Buffalo, but if they trade his rights, he may come back. So he may very well find himself being traded. And my first thought when I saw the KHL contract was, well, he's gone. But when I saw that Buffalo was planning on retaining his rights and that there was an NHL out clause, I thought, all right, so he's still probably in play. And it makes sense for some guys to sign in the KHL since it's possible. If you're on one of those 7 teams that's not going to be playing hockey this summer, and again, that's potentially playing hockey this summer, if you want to get in game action, you may have to go over to the KHL. You may have to go over to Europe. And, KHL's already said they plan to start September 2nd. So there may be other players from those 7 teams that say, well, I'm going to sign temporary contracts there. Might be with the team's blessing. Jeff Molson. Jeff Molson is not hiring a president of hockey operations in Montreal. He has full confidence in Marc Bergevin. I think the funny thing is, anytime we talk about Marc Bergevin and Montreal and their power structure, one thing that comes up is Montreal's lack of success, and then the other part that always comes up is the man he's ripped. Marc Bergevin's biceps are bigger than his head. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe Molson's sitting in his office going, all right, today's the day. I've got to do this for the team. Bergevin's going to go. All right, I got this guy lined up. We're going to bring back Réjean Houle. It's going to be great. They don't even see this coming. And then Bergevin comes in. You wanted to see me, boss? Good job. Good job. Then he goes out and Molson's like, I just can't do it. I'm scared of him. Anyways, so that's how I picture it. Anyways, Pierre LeBrun reports that a new CBA agreement could be done before the games go in. And when I say new agreement, it means like basically an extension of the current agreement. Now, if they can come up with something when it comes to what they're going to do with escrow, if they can come up with something when it comes to do with the potential 2022 Olympics, because let's be honest, the summer games are being pushed back to next summer at the earliest. What could the Winter Games get pushed back a year just to have that separation between the Summer and the Winter Olympics, which they seem to like to have? So we may very well have an agreement between the NHL and the NHLPA on an extension, which would be great. It'd be great for the game not to see another lockout. We don't need a lockout. And I think both the players and the league agree they don't need a lockout. The only league that seems to be dysfunctional right now, and I mean right now because things can change, is Major League Baseball. Everybody else seems to have it figured out. Major League Baseball is the one that, there's still there's a chance you get games this summer, sure, but I don't know. Both sides have come out looking terrible, and this is something the NHL should be paying attention to as well. If you go into another lockout, you're going to look bad. The players are going to look bad. It's not going to be a good look for anybody. Darren Dreger is reporting that details on family attendance still are being ironed out, and the NHL might very well make it so that players' families won't be with them until potentially the Stanley Cup Finals. Which, if it's a safety thing, wouldn't you want to make sure if you're concerned about outside? Again, I would think that it's fine to say your family isn't going to be in attendance for the play-in, and they're not going to be with you during the round of 16. But once we get down to 8, you would think there'd be an allowance for immediate family to be there, whether it's for a guy who's got wife and kids, the wife and kids can be there. For the younger players, maybe it's their parents get flown in and taken care of. And again, this is all that stuff that needs to get ironed out. So when people talk about, all right, we're going to have hockey at the end of July or early August, maybe. Because all of this has to get ironed out, and at any point the union can say, no, we don't like this, and then we start over. Now, there's an Executive Inclusion Council being created. I know. This discussion is ongoing, and I don't think it's going anywhere. So there's 5 owners who are going to be a part of this, 5 presidents and 2 GMs. So for people who looked at the first council that was announced and said, well, that doesn't seem very diverse, this is part of the reason why. Because when you look at owners, presidents, and GMs, they tend to be a bunch of older white men. So if you're going to have your diversity, it's probably going to be out of Players' Council. Now, they're going to be supported by a Players' Committee, which will include present and past players, and it's going to include female players as well. Yeah, they're pushing everything through. It's going to be, okay, we're going to make sure that we take care of all of this in one go. Which is good, because then you're just playing whack-a-mole if you don't have something that, encompasses all of it. Where you're like, okay, we're taking care of this. Oh, wait, now we got to go take care of this. Oh, now we got to take care of... No, just bring the whole thing under one tent here and do it. There's going to be a youth advisory board as well for parents and youth leaders. So this is not just a National Hockey League centered thing. This is, okay, how do we make hockey from when little kids get into it right until they're in the NHL? How do we make this as inclusive as possible and make it as fair as possible and as transparent as possible? So Fan Inclusion Committee will be in there as well to find out how to make the sport feel more welcoming. I've seen the posts on the channel. And if you feel like you aren't welcome at games, or you feel like you look different, so therefore you're treated different by hockey fans, this is something they want to look at. And that culture, it's there. And I'm not saying that it's prevalent. I'm not saying that the majority of people are there. I'm not saying that at all. But it's enough that it does make people say, well, not wanting it here. And that's it. And whether it's a parent, whether it's a kid, whether it's both, whatever it is, this is something that does take place. So they've got this committee, having women on this council as well. That's a good idea. Might I suggest Sarah Nurse? Sarah Nurse has been very out there, very vocal lately. And I think she would be a perfectly fine addition to whatever council. Haley Wickenheiser has just started, working in the medical field, so odds are she wouldn't be a person you'd necessarily be able to get in there, depending on how often they meet and what the plan is. Haley would be an amazing addition as well. But anyways, it'll be interesting to see how this goes, who gets named to it, and apparently the owners, presidents, and GMs have all accepted their invitations to be part of this. So there you go. 2/3 of the Pittsburgh Penguins are already practicing. It's already being said, that's why I'm wearing Penguins, it's already being said, the Penguins have an advantage on everybody else right now, which makes the rest of the NHL say, oh goody, the team that has 5 Stanley Cups since 1991 has a jump on everybody else getting ready to play. And honestly, there should be great motivation for these guys. The Pittsburgh Penguins are a team that this may be their last chance. For Crosby, Malkin, and the boys, this may be their best chance as well. You're going to have Gensel back in all likelihood healthy. You've got Zucker there as well, and he had some chemistry with Crosby right off the bat. You have got one heck of a team here, and with the cap being what it is, and with what might happen next year, you just don't know. So this summer's tournament may be your one chance, if you're the Pittsburgh Penguins, to win another championship before we see some sort of a decline. And based on the poll on the channel, that decline is expected not next season, but the year after. Now, also making Twitter news today. And Twitter's been all abuzz with all forms of NHL discussions that I don't have up here. Because it's more gossip than news. But NHL posted a Tyler Seguin video. And then they took it down. So now if they're going to put up a Tyler Seguin video talking about him protesting and being out there and how proud they are of him and have all this great music for it, the criticism was, where were they when JT Brown was speaking up? Where were they when other players were speaking up? So it does, the funny thing is, as tone deaf as that might have looked on the surface, taking it down makes it worse. As soon as you take it down, you're going, yeah, yep. So, and just speaking from my YouTube experience, there's two reasons I take a video down. Either I'm wrong, and I go, oh, that is completely wrong. Those three. I'm completely wrong. It's not worth the hassle, as in I post a video, I'm like, forget it. There's just all the downvotes and all just forget it. I'll repost something else. I'll do something different with it. Or that the audio is screwed up. Now, the audio wasn't messed up in this video. And so, for them, was it a mistake or was it not worth the negativity? And again, I expect crickets from the NHL. And this just adds to that narrative that the NHL, while they seem to be trying to do the right thing right now and trying to, get on the social train, it just came across badly. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. And for me, I feel kind of bad for Tyler Seguin in that, I don't think he was doing it as a PR thing. I think he was doing it because he genuinely wanted to go out there and do something other than just talking about it. And it feels like the NHL piggybacked on it. And went, all right, well, we'll put that. And that's the part I don't like. Tyler, that's fine. But the NHL side of it, I'm like, again, what do you do, right? If you don't say anything, then people are going to be mad. If you say something, but it's not the right person you're using as your messenger, that's bad too. And then if they go back now and they say, well, we always supported JT Brown, there's no evidence of that. So we'll see how this goes from here. Part of it is, and they were talking on, I was watching on the news, and they were talking to somebody who's involved in a lot of this kind of stuff in the NFL side of it. And he said he feels that because there's no sports right now and because so many people are out of work, it gets undivided attention. So there's a lot of undivided attention right now to these issues that we normally, in any other instance, would not see, which just amplifies them all the more. But I'll be here to report on items of interest as they take place, try to filter out the trade rumors and the gossip and the stuff that I see when I'm looking through Twitter. I'm like, that doesn't have anything to it. And especially when it's a post and it's what I'm hearing is, and I'm like, nah. And I know I'll be looking big. I know who he's talking about. No, it's all over. It's just, there's a lot of sites that do it. There's a lot of users that do it. So, I don't say what I'm hearing is. I tell you guys, LeBron, Drager, TSN, Sportsnet, and if I'm reporting on something here, it's because it is an official reporter for a team, for the league. It is something, that I can go, okay, that's tangible and it makes sense. Let me know what you guys think. If you saw the Tyler Seguin video, I didn't see it. It got taken down. I didn't see it. You don't need to post a link to it. I'm sure it's easy enough to find. I'll check it out after this video has been posted. Because again, I understand on what the NHL was trying to do. I also understand why they might have taken it down. But man, it just comes across really, really badly, which is an NHL thing. And that's why you've got committees right now being formed to try to fix that, because I think they understand their messaging has been just poor for decades. And this isn't just about like a race relation thing. It is just in general. The NHL is a lousy job of the whole marketing thing, of making the sport inclusive and explaining the sport to people who may not understand it. So when it goes into a new market, they just sort of dump it there, and there's not a whole lot of. It's amazing it picked up in Vegas the way that it did, and I think it's almost like maybe it succeeded despite the NHL. Maybe it's because he had really good ownership, really good interaction between the team and the community right out of the gate, and so it managed to make it. But let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.